is Jasmin Guthmann. Jasmin, I think I've seen her. Are you here, Jasmin? Excellent. Jasmin is here. Jasmin is co-vice president of the MACH Alliance. I'll leave her to tell you all about who the MACH Alliance are. Jasmin, please come up. Thank you.
Does that work too?
Yep.
Sweet. All right. Welcome, everybody. I want to tie it back. Is that okay if I stand here so you have left and right?
Yeah.
Right. Sweet. I want to tie it back to that very last bullet point on Becky's slide just now. And it said there's 5% more women today using AI than a decade ago. Disappointing, I will agree with you. But let's, by show of hand, just your gut feeling. Compared to 1984, I know that's very, very, very long ago for some of you, but compared to 1984, do we have more women working in tech today or less? Who's for more?
Less.
Well, that quite a few. Okay, who's for less? Less. The sad truth is it's about 10% less. It used to be roughly 35%, depending on which exact pie slice you're looking at, but it used to be roughly 35. Today it's roughly 25. How do we get there, despite all the efforts that we're all making? I think a lot of it is due to us, and when I say us, I mean us women in that case, trying to solve for it all by ourselves. That ain't gonna cut it. I'll take that straight from here. We need all of you fantastic allies in the room to help us make it a bigger conversation and to have the conversation on our behalf when we're not in the room. Because guess what? As per Becky's picture, many times that's still what's happening, whether we like it or not. So what I want to leave here today with is the little things that each and every one of you can do today and tomorrow so that we arrive in 10 years, a decade later, and we have that trend trending the other way up. So that's what we're going to look at here in a minute. I'm VP and Executive Board Member at the MACH Alliance. That is a not-for-profit agency almost, a conglomerate of vendors and agencies that advocate for best-of-breed composable technology, things that work well together. How is that related to women in tech? Very easily we said, well, if we're advocating for best-of-breed, and you've heard that 3 times now, we have to look at diverse teams. It's proven, I don't have to convince you that diverse teams create better results, but still we don't see that. So while we're advocating for best-of-breed technology, why wouldn't we at the same time advocate for more diversity in teams? Because that goes hand in hand. How do we do that? Here's a few fun pictures. And these are real pictures, no AI, no nothing. I didn't prompt them to create a picture with a black dude and a black woman and add some little more diversity in the background. No, that is a real event that we held in London about 3 months ago. That is our annual flagship conference. That's what we say now in year 2. It started out as a very small gathering of women who had no big aspirations. We just got together and said, you know what, we're all bumping into the same problems, but we're bumping into them by ourselves. Kind of sucks. And if I try to change it by myself, I'm not going to go anywhere. Why don't we come together? And again, you can hear the collaboration theme here. That should move the needle a lot more. And now that we're together in this room, and let me tell you a quick story about that. What we didn't want to do is make it female only because of the underrepresented minority effect, which is not good for the underrepresented minority, right? You need those allies. So we made sure that we had 5 men in the room, 95 women, 5 men. How do you think the men felt? It was, well, yes, but the funny thing that happened is one of them walked up to me and said, Jasmin, wow, I finally understand how you feel. And I go, how do I feel? I had no idea what he was talking about, to be really honest, because we're so used to being the few in a room that it didn't register with me that that's what he was talking about. Tells you both a lot about him and about me and about us, because we're used to it so many times. But he left saying, not just saying, but also doing the best he could to raise awareness for the topic when no women were in the room. Because he finally, by physical experience, understood how it feels to be one of the few and not one of the many. And that's what spawned this movement, which is a grassroots movement. We don't pay anyone. Everybody's doing it in their spare time. It's called Women in MACH. And we're broadening the scope to diversity in MACH because it starts with us, but it shouldn't end there. There's so much more to do. That said, we do bring people together to understand that they are not alone, that they need allies, and that together we can be that change. And when I say we, I don't mean the distant we, as in the society or the industry or the other people. It really boils down to each and every one of us here in this room today, because we can make a difference if we choose to. It's hard though, because we're still at a whopping 28% of the tech workforce globally that is female. In software engineering and related roles, drops down to 14, not even half. Most marketing departments are still mostly women for reasons, right? Society does play a huge role, and we'll have decades to work on that, but there's smaller things that we can work on. Only 5% of leadership roles are held by women. That hurts me to look at it. Don't know how you feel. Less than 3%, back to Emma's point, less than 3% of venture capital funding goes to women at startups. Whew. And this bugs me the most. Sorry, guys. Women in tech are paid about 84 cents per every dollar their male counterparts earn. Let's make that more tangible. That means that all the guys can go home and stop working on August 18th, on October 18th, sorry. While you have to work till Christmas, they're off in October. Same money, same paycheck. Is that fair? Of course it isn't. So we've got work to do. Now here's what we ran into while we were starting to run our grassroots initiative. And some of this really surprised us. We thought all we have to do is rally and then it'll just be on the rising tide, right? It'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. No, it wasn't. Actually, underrepresented minorities and women are more often than others hesitant to put themselves forward. Kudos to Computer Weekly and Nash for really getting women on stage, all of them, because it's harder. Women don't just say, yeah, sure, I'll be on stage. Usually it's a multi-step process of you saying, hey, Emma, Jasmin, Becky, could I convince you to be on stage? And usually the first response is, oh no, stage, people looking at me, no. And there's other people I'm sure that can do that better. And it's your job to not take that as face value and to say, oh yeah, sure, I'm just gonna grab that other guy because he's been wanting to be on stage for weeks and he's already up my ear. Way easier. Yeah, it is easier for you from a logistics perspective, but it's not the right thing to do. Which feeds into the next point, that is, we still have a whopping imbalance when it comes to gender representation at events, any event, Look at any conference agenda that you're attending. If you do the math, it's usually pretty disappointing. Unless the organizer has made a very conscious effort to do something about it. And again, the organizer, many times, yes, is those people over here that organize big events. But we all work at companies that do smaller events, do their own events. How much effort do we put into the events that we do? And this one is also really painful, but we're here to speak the truth, including the bad and the ugly. There is enough people that deny that we actually have an issue. Or they say, oh, Jasmin, we've talked about that for decades. Can you just shut up? I'm sure there has been done enough. It's fine. We've been talking about that for years. Well, let me tell you, it hasn't worked, not to the degree that we wanted to. So that's the kind of roadblocks that we're looking at. Not to despair, because we can do something about all of them. And that's what I really want you to walk away with from here. What can you do today? And I'm serious. It's the things that we do that will create that change that we're looking to see. It's not these other people. It's not the industry. It's not your employer. You can go out and do something. Encourage underrepresented minorities in your environment, however small or big that may be. If you're working for one of the big four, great, you have a fantastic large pool. If you're working for a startup, same thing. Make sure that the people who are more silent or more introvert or whichever way of more silent they are, make sure that you ask them. Make sure that they feel like they matter and that they're being heard and that their opinion actually matters. I'm super passionate about the second one too. Push for equal representation at your events. If your sales team is hosting drinks as a side event to a trade fair, make sure that there is equal representation. If you're doing a meetup, ask the women to do the speaking, or make sure that there is equal representation from all of the groups that you have within your reach. It's not as hard as it sounds, but somebody, and that somebody hopefully will be you after today, somebody has to say, why is there only men on this panel? Are we sure that we cannot find a woman, somebody that is an underrepresented minority? Have we looked in the right places? Your job from this day on to be that voice that says, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Is there a better way of doing this? And if you're invited, bring a friend. If I'm invited to speak somewhere or speak on a panel, I do check. Like, who else is going to be on this panel? Oh, you want me to moderate it because there's only guys? I'm not doing that. You have to do better, but people will only do better if we all hold them accountable. And I think this is the most important one. Never give up and never lose faith, and keep your calm, because sometimes some people can really rub you the wrong way. I had somebody walk up to me and say, yeah, you did that women's conference last week in London. I wasn't invited. Why are you even doing that thing? I don't think it matters. And you're literally standing there thinking, did I hear that? Is it me? Is it him? Can I just pinch myself? He was serious. But then our job is to be patient and explain and not overinvest ourselves, but make a clear point that indeed it is very important, because our world, our experience is still very different from what he's seeing. And invite him along to the next thing that is happening, because we need allies. We don't need people who deny that there is an issue. So how do we redefine the future of tech? In a nutshell, innovation, and you all know that better than anyone, doesn't happen in silos. It happens when we break boundaries together. So go do one small thing today to make the world a better place tomorrow. Thank you.